Hi, thanks for joining me at the Underground. This video is for the trolls. In the last couple weeks, I've gotten a handful of messages and emails telling me that our economy's fine, I'm wasting my time preparing, there's nothing to worry about. Just look at the unemployment, for example. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, if you look at this first chart, which is right from the United States of Labor Statistics, you can see we have a decreasing labor participation number. And the reason our unemployment is so good is because we use it based off of the U3 and not the U6 anymore. There are 95 million Americans out of work. The U3 that we use doesn't count you if you are a discouraged worker or a marginally attached worker. It doesn't count you if you're a student. It doesn't count you if you're close to retirement age. It does count you even if you only work 1 hour a week. Now, the U6, if you work part-time, it doesn't count you as being employed. And it counts you if you're discouraged. If you're not working, it doesn't matter how long it's been since you've had a job, you're considered unemployed. And that's the way it should be, unlike the U3. If you haven't been actively looking for a job in the past 4 weeks, they don't count you. They consider you out of the workforce and not looking. And that just isn't an accurate number. So you could look at, the difference here on the chart between the U3 and the U6 and how much higher unemployment would really be if we didn't count the people that only worked a couple hours a week as being employed. If we didn't count the people that haven't found a job in a couple months as being out of the market. So, it would give you a more accurate look at actually how bad unemployment is in this country, and I really believe it would even be a lot worse than that. So you got to look beyond the first layer of everything in mainstream media to get the truth, and that's what's wrong with a lot of people out there. They hear what they're saying on mainstream and they just believe, hey, that's true, it was on the news, there's nothing more to it. So that's a lot of the problems with what's going on out there with the masses. Another thing I wanted to bring up is our GDP, which is our gross domestic product. Now, the GDP measures the value of an economic activity or prices of all final goods and services produced here in the United States. And at the end of the third quarter, it was at 1.9%, and they actually just revised that to be 0.3% by the end of the year. If this was such a booming economy and it was so great, wouldn't our GDP be increasing? Wouldn't we be putting more goods and services out there and not decreasing that? So, they were just on mainstream news last week talking about how amazing our GDP was, and that's what the masses hear. It was a good thing, so they think it is. So something else I wanted to bring up that I just read about was the retirement age increasing. When I first entered the workforce, you were able to retire at 62 with full benefits. Then it bounced up to 65, and now it's at 67. So if this was such a booming economy, wouldn't we be decreasing that to make it easier for our aging population? Now, to make matters even worse, our life expectancy for 2 years in a row now in America has decreased. So at the rate that that's decreasing and we're, raising our age of retirement, in another 15 years, people are basically going to be working to the day they die if we stay on the path that we are on now. So, if this was such a booming economy, why would Larry Kudlow, economic advisor to Trump, be saying that they're looking to do tax cuts or breaks for the middle class coming up? And the reason they're doing that is because they know that almost 70% of this economy is supported by us consumers, and we're tapped out. We're at record high debt, and, people are really going to start noticing it when they can't pay their bills. So, once again, if this is such a booming economy, Why would they even be considering doing something like this? Now, in this booming economy, for the trolls out there, why do we have all these massive bank bailouts going on in the repo market? Why do they keep getting extended? They were only supposed to be a week long. What's going on with the freight sector, the freight apocalypse? What's going on with the retail apocalypse? How do we have more store closures than American history, but the best unemployment ever? It doesn't add up. You know, Americans have no savings. Our manufacturing's in contraction. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And these are all things, if you look past the first layer, you could find the information yourself. I mean, these are facts and charts. It's not something that people just want to say because I don't know. I don't know why somebody would even want to make things like this up. But you know, the fact of it is the government doesn't want people, everyday people, to know when the economy is turning down or going bad because it reflects them horribly as an official or representative to us. So they manipulate things, which is proven. Look at Goldman Sachs. They just got fined $20 million for rigging the debt market. Look at J.P. Morgan. They're in trouble for rigging the precious metal markets. So, you know, manipulation does happen, and that's proven. Now, you know, they don't want us to know when things are turning bad because then, you know, when it crashes, they could say it was a black swan event. It came out of nowhere, you know, nobody's seen it coming. It's not our fault. Nobody's seen it. And, you know, I feel like they don't want us to be prepared because the more caught off guard we are, the worse it'll be. And then, you know, they can step in and save the day and go for power grabs and, you know, change laws that, like, they normally couldn't do in other circumstances. You know, for example, you know, say we have a horrible economic shift and there's lots of violence and, you know, chaos out there. Well, you know, when things settle down, if they settle down, they could come out and say, well, you know, look at all the violence out there. We need to take, you know, firearm rights away or, you know, tighten up on firearm laws. It's just a power grab for them. And, you know, a major problem is most people just don't want to hear the truth if it hurts. And unfortunately, you know, by the time they realize it, it's going to be knocking on their door. So, you know, thanks everybody for listening. Please subscribe. Please hit that bell notification. And please, please keep prepping. Have a good night, everyone.